to channel. Yeah, I'm 25 Transalp, just in scenic rim here, or just leaving the scenic rim towards Kyogle. A little place called Willoween, just stop for a coffee. Yeah, and Willoween is a really nice old style coffee shop. Interesting guy runs the place. It's nice and cool there on a hot day as well. It hasn't got air conditioning, but it's shaded. It's not bad, and the coffee's pretty good. Yeah, so the 25 Transalp. It's definitely the suspension's a plus. The revised suspension, sportier feel. Tracks truer, tighter in the corners. Only slight downside. Well, it's a downside for people that are exclusively cruise and bike riders. Going on any serious off-road. You're going to feel the ripples and the bumps at moderate slow to moderate speeds more than you would on the 23 model. It's just, we've all driven the sports suspension car. Yeah, until you get moving, until you get pushing it, you're gonna, you notice, well, it's your infirmous suspension. So that's what I'm trying to say. You may not hear about that in the short-term tests on the other YouTube channels because they mainly do the tests on smooth roads. So it's, it's two sides of a coin. Yeah. You're going to get that firmer suspension where you can push it harder through the corners and with road irregularities, but at moderate speeds you're going to say to yourself, I feel that bump more than I did on my 23 bike. If you haven't had a 23 Transalp and you've come from a naked bike or a sports bike, you probably will go, wow, the suspension is so great, so soft when you're cruising. So if you're a cruiser, just like going slow, just keep that in mind. You can soften the preload setting. So from factory, they have increased the setting somewhat, stiffened it up in the factory setting up to a 90 kilo rider at the factory setting. So I've been told I'm 100 kilos and it does feel pretty stiff. So if you're only 60, 70 kilos, maybe ask the dealer to wind back that preload. And if you just want to cruise, even if you're a heavier person, you just want to cruise, you're sort of a bit sensible and realise, well, the road's rough. Probably tying it back off anyway, regardless. When you're on a motorbike, we're not on a cage, are we? So if you're that type of person that like to be a bit cautious, just wants to soak the scenery up, still have fun on a bike, but doesn't want to push the envelope too much. When a 23 suspension is more than adequate. Bit of background, I did 30,000 Ks, I'm just repeating this for new viewers. 30,000 Ks on the 23 Transalp, and the suspension never once hopped sideways. It never, it never bottomed out at the front on the road we're talking about. So when you're on a heavy bike, it's different when you're on a lightweight bike. When you got rough surfaces off-road, you pop your front wheel up, you're like the old bikes I used to ride, the IT200 two-stroke, you get the fucking YZs and all that, you just pop the front end up. It's a bit hard. It's a bit harder on a 208 kilo bike when you're on a single trailer in the bush on a four-wheel drive track, just to pop that front wheel up and wheelie across, a rut, for example. Sideways across the rut, you're coming to a diagonal rut, you just wheel stand over it. A bit harder on these bikes. Where this Transalp, the 23, 24 model, 23 to 24 model for people that don't know the history of a Transalp, are identical, at least in Australia. I'm pretty sure they're identical around the world. The 25 model, this bike is the My 25 model, meaning manufactured year 2025. So this is a bike with a revised suspension, the twin headlight, revised graphics, so a bit bigger. And the revised fueling. So the fueling on this bike is fantastic. I'm in a sports mode here. So I'm in rain mode. So rain mode, I'm in rain mode now. That was the traditional go-to mode on the Transalp when you just wanted to have a smooth experience riding. Now, and it delivered its power in a different way until you really, so at the lower RPMs it was a lot softer power delivery. Now, in gravel mode there, we won't worry about that for the time being. User 2, I've got user 1 set up, but we're not even going to worry about that. So we're in standard mode here. So it's nearly identical as far as smoothness is concerned to rain mode, whereas before you knew when you were in rain mode because when you backed off and you killed the throttle and twisted the throttle again, you would have that jerkiness, especially at low speeds. Now go into sports mode, and sports mode is identical to rain mode. We're talking about not power delivery, smoothness. They've done a fantastic job, and it's just something I've noticed from the running period, from 1,000 Ks. I kept it in standard mode up until 1,900 Ks or something. You know what I'm saying? I didn't use sports mode extensively. There's no point because I didn't want to really put it over 6,000 RPM. Go through the gears, rev it to the 6,000. Just keep that variation and throttle. So once it's been run in, it's really hits you in the face. If you're used to the 23 bike, if you've ridden the 23 bike for any length of time, you will notice the difference, and you really appreciate it because this, especially when you're standing up on the 23 model in sports mode, if you're standing up, you're back, you're a bit lazy and you just kill the throttle and boom, back on the throttle, you would be jerking, a little bit. And then of course you get used to it, you adapt to it. But that's all gone now. Like it really has. I'll stand up here. Got no traffic behind me. No, I'm in second gear here. I'm killing the throttle back on. How smooth is that? Killing back on. Right, kill throttle back on. That is brilliant, eh? And that jerk out was just me changing gears with Tech 7 boots on. I should have just used the quick shifter as well. But Alright, so we're turning off towards Moomba. Kawangla, Nimnan, and Mawalamba. Nimnan is a famous little hippie town. I haven't been there for years. Yeah, so this fueling and sports mode is fantastic. Like I just backed up there. Well, there's just no jerkiness on the throttle. None. Now, how long it keeps like that, who knows? I did notice on the 23 model that when you're in sports mode, especially, and you were blipping down the throttle, second gear, you'd get that nice crackle and pop. And I'm pretty sure it was advertised, the Hornet and the Transalp, something to do with called it some acoustic noise, and it was definitely there, the crackle and pop, like you get on a sports bike and a sports car, same thing. And after the 12,000 K service, it disappeared. There was no more of that. You couldn't get it back. And I've noticed on this one, a tiny bit, it's there, but I think it's gone on this one as well. So I don't know what that's about. Why you can't get that crackle and pop when on the deceleration, when you're flipping the throttle, decelerating. Yeah, in a higher RPM, second gear, it just doesn't seem to be there anymore. So that's like using the quick shifter. So apparently on the quick shifter on this, you close the throttle to downshift, so you can blip the throttle. And you keep the throttle at a constant throttle for when you're upshifting to get the smoothest response. So I'm in fourth now. Keep the throttle constant, fifth gear. Now, keep it in consideration, I've got Tech 7s on, and I've got a lot better than they were with leather softener, but they're not going to be like a dedicated road boot for changing gears. but a lot better than they were with a leather softener and WD-40. You just got to keep the leather softener on motocross enduro style boots to keep the sole flexible, and it does help a lot. You can feel that rear brake a lot better. So this is the sort of roads I rode the 23 model, 30,000 Ks. I've probably been on this road 50 times, this particular road, going from Kyogle to Yuki, and you go from Yuki and turn off to Tyalgum. Locals will know what I'm talking about. But if you don't know, just Google Kyogle to Yuki, Tyalgum, Numbamba Valley, Narang. It's a pretty good ride. You do a big loop from the Gold Coast, you go through Bow Desert, Raftani, or you can go the other way to Boona, back in Maroon Dam, all that sort of stuff. So this is a great ride. It's like a 300-400k loop. I've done, so I think I've done 500 Ks. This is the second day's riding. So I'm probably up 500 Ks for up, and I've done that loop, except I went to Warwick and stayed overnight in Warwick. It was 3.5 degrees Celsius in Warwick this morning, just before full up sunrise, and about 5:30 in the morning, and the temperature day here is 30 degrees. So there's the variations you get in Australia in the same day, eh? Once that sun comes up, everything changes. Still perfect bike riding weather. Pretty soon it'll get about 34, 36, 38, and that's when it becomes a challenge, not so much when you're riding, when you're on the open road, but when you come into a stop, when you want to stop for a drink, coffee shop, whatever, fueling, low traffic riding, it gets pretty hot. You really got to think about what you're going to wear. We've still got to wear the safety jackets if we don't have to, but people that do wear believe in the all gear at all times. You just got to modify it a bit. I've got the Revit summer jacket on, one of the range, I'll just forget the name of it now, and it's not bad. And at the moment I'm just wearing a normal vest and a very light long sleeve shirt. I was wearing flannel up until about 3 weeks ago. I was still wearing the flannelette shirts and the thermal vest, so that's how quickly the weather's changed. For early morning starts, yeah, you couldn't wear a thermal now. If you're going camping, just a tip, but I've just noticed, even in the hotter, warmer months of spring, if you're going camping, early mornings, overnight, still bloody cold, and you don't want to be carrying too heavy clothing. So just those thermal vests that we wear underneath in the winter, underneath our shirts, or flannel shirt or whatever you're wearing, just pack one of those, because it comes in really handy if you're going to the showers block, if you're in a camping ground, or you don't have to wear your motorbike stuff everywhere because it's bloody freezing. So it's just mainly, shit, what's that? Like a plastic bag, eh? Somebody's just thrown it out of a car, or come out of the back of a ute or something. Yeah, so I'm just lugging the bike. Hi, welcome back to the channel. Yeah, so we're just sort of lugging the Transalp on this back road here, 5th gear, just cruising. Been a long 2 days, been riding. Yeah, so that's the beauty about this bike. When you just want to kick back, you got nobody behind, you got nobody really in front of you. You just want to cruise. Just might want to stand up, take the weight off, and just have a look around, listen to music, or your podcasts and your AirPods or whatever you're using. So they're using the quick shifter there, without having to sort of reach down a little bit on the clutch lever when you're standing up. There's no jerkiness now anymore with the fueling on the sports mode. On the 25 model, that is a big, along with the suspension. There hasn't been that many changes, but there are two massive changes: the fueling and the suspension. It's just amazing in sports mode how they've managed to smooth it all out in sports mode. Before you'd go to rain mode and go, wow, rain mode's so smooth compared to sports mode, but I'm talking about power delivery. Rain mode's a lot it delivers the power low and lower revs in a different manner. It still does that, but we're talking about smoothness. You can virtually not tell the difference now. When I talk about power delivery again, say that again. You cannot tell the difference between sports mode and rain mode. There was very, very little difference in smoothness, whereas before it was noticeable. When I first bought the 23 model, I kept it in rain mode for a little while, just while I was getting used to the bike, and I did because I found it was a bit jerky for fueling. So I would keep sports mode reserved to the open road. Now you can use sports mode anywhere. Standing up, low speed, off-road. Thing about if you're having sports mode off-road, you can do a few power slides, fishtails. A great fucking place to have a traffic light, right on a fucking blind corner.